I am Lieutenant Colonel Gene Smith. This is my story of a fighter pilot and prisoner of war in Vietnam. October 25th, 1967. That day is etched in my memory. My wingman and I had orders to bomb the Paul Doumer Bridge in North Vietnam, a mile-long stretch of steel and concrete, one of the most heavily defended targets in all of Southeast Asia. We all had this feeling leading up to it that one of us might not come back, and sure enough, one of us didn't. You see, to be a fighter or bomber pilot, you've got to carry a certain mindset. You look around the ready room and think, well, somebody in here might get shot down, but it won't be me. That's just the mentality you needed to survive. I'd been flying the F-105 Thunderchief, the Thud. Normally, we flew 2 out of every 3 days, but with so many missions underway, I was flying nearly every day. The day before, October 24th, our mission got switched from a familiar target to an air base about 30 miles from Hanoi that had never been hit before. That got our blood pumping. We'd flown right by that base before, coming down Thud Ridge. Could see the MiGs taking off, could see the SAM sights. Sometimes they'd take a few shots at us, but now we finally had orders to take them out. Captain Chester Griffin, who later became a wing commander, asked to lead the bomb flight. I stepped aside and took the number 2 spot with the force commander. It was a beautiful day. We launched 16 ships, 4 at a time. The commander's call sign was Scotch, so I was Scotch too. About 20 miles out, a MiG-21 came gunning for us, but our F-4 escorts went right after him. We rolled in on target and started dropping bombs. I called out a few MiGs I saw on the airfield so the others could adjust. There was a ton of fuel stored there, and when we pulled off target, it went up in a massive explosion. When we got back, spirits were high, Stars and Stripes was there, and that night we celebrated. I took it easy, though. I had to fly again the next day, and that next day, October 25th, is the one I'll never forget. When I got to the squadron, I found out the air base we'd hit had been bombed 4 more times by our wing, another Air Force wing, and 2 Navy wings. It was flattened. I was in the tower working as the supervisor of flying when I got a call that our target had changed. We were headed for the Paul Doumer Bridge. I told my number 3 man to start making flight plans while I waited for someone to relieve me. That's when the adrenaline kicks in. Your jaw tightens, your heart starts pounding, because that bridge, that's downtown Hanoi, one of the toughest targets in the history of aerial warfare. While I was still in the tower, I heard over the radio that Shark 3 had been shot down. The pilot was a classmate of mine from Nellis. That one hit home. There was a quiet uneasiness among all of us, but we pushed through it. You had to. As we approached the target, one plane had hydraulic problems and had to turn back with an escort, so we were down 2. From 13,000 feet up, you could see Hanoi 30 miles away, clear as a bell. We were told there were no MiGs around, but we could see Sam streaking up at the wild weasels ahead of us. About 3 minutes out, the flak started. A minute before target, the commander called, "Burn her out." We rolled in. It was unbelievable. The sky was just black with flak bursts, worse than any war movie I'd ever seen. Before we launched, I told my guys, when you hit 9,000 feet, release your bombs. Don't wait for a perfect lock, just drop. At 9,000 feet, I hit the pickle button, released my bombs, and started to pull up. That's when I got hit. Sounded like somebody slammed a hammer on a wash tub. I looked around, no warning lights, still in formation, and then just like that, the airplane started tumbling. The G-forces were tossing me around like a rag doll. I blacked in and out. I could barely reach the ejection handle. I remember thinking, I am not going to die in this son of a gun. I used my G-suit to help pull the handle, and somehow I made it out. When I came to, I figured I was around 4,000 feet. My chute was open, working fine. I checked it, then checked myself. First thing I noticed, I could see my shin bone, but it didn't look broken. I tried calling my formation, but the radio wouldn't override the beacon. I ripped the antenna off, tossed it, threw away the backup radio, even ditched my .38 because I could see a whole lot of North Vietnamese soldiers waiting for me down below. I could hear bullets snapping past me as I floated down. When I hit the ground, one of them let loose with an AK-47. hit me several times. Then they stripped off my flight gear with a machete, tied my hands with wire, left me standing there in just my shorts and a T-shirt. There were people everywhere. And honestly, I think that little local militia was the only thing that kept the mob from killing me on the spot. A young girl led me away for a while. I don't know how long we walked before they loaded me into a truck. They dropped me at a hut, then transferred me again deeper into Hanoi. 2 guards rode with me, one older, one young. The young one was fiddling with his pistol and it went off. Missed my foot by 3 inches and the old sergeant's by even less. The old man tore into him good. By the time we reached the prison, it was dusk, the Hanoi Hilton. That's where the fun and games began, as we used to say. They kept me in interrogation for nearly a week. I'll be honest, I broke. I gave them more than my name, rank, and serial number, but so did everyone else. They never got anything that mattered. After that, they threw me into the heartbreak section. 6 feet by 4, a concrete bunk, and banana peel soup for breakfast. Later, they moved me into a bigger cell with 3 other guys, 8 by 6, 2 bunks, 1 pot for the bathroom that we could only dump once every 24 hours. One of the hardest things was accepting that I really was a prisoner, that I wasn't going to wake up in my bed back at Tackley Air Base. If you want to imagine it, lock yourself in a closet for 2 hours with nothing, no phone, no music, then multiply it by 5.5 years. That's about what it felt like. To stay sane, I did math problems in my head, replayed memories from home, anything to keep my mind busy. Every cell had a speaker. One day I heard Hanoi Hannah mention my name. That's when I knew my family knew I was alive. Finally, on March 14th, 1973, after 5.5 years, I was released. They flew us to Clark Air Base in the Philippines. I had a sponsor who helped me get back on my feet, helped me understand what had changed in the world. Not long after, I was reunited with my wife and kids at March Air Force Base in California. I came home to a wonderful family, and the wife who'd raised our children beautifully kept everything going. She was incredible. And, looking back after 50 years, I don't carry resentment toward my captors. Truth is, I pity them. They were prisoners, too, of their own system, their own government.
Over the years, we have made great efforts to keep in contact with our dear friends and fellow POWs, as well as those who were never POWs, yet played an important role in our military journey. We have been committed to several types of reunions. First are the annual POW reunions, with a big reunion every 5 years. The last one we attended was in Frisco, Texas, our 45th reunion. These reunions have afforded me the opportunity to stay in touch with many of my POW brothers like Ev Alvarez, Robbie Reisner, Chuck Boyd, Doug Clower, Jerry Driscoll, Bob Shoemaker, Hayden Lockhart, Mike McGrath, Scotty Morgan, Bob Peel, Larry Garino, George Hall, Pop Kern, and Gene Smith. As a fighter, just 1 week prior to being placed on hospice, Bud, from the confines of his wheelchair, had tried the case of a military soldier who had been denied benefits, and he won. We thought of this and many other Bud Day stories as we made our way to his home on the water in Shalimar. When we entered, we were greeted by Dory, who led us to their bedroom, where a hospital bed had been set up. Bud was lying weakly in the bed, with oxygen mask intact, but he sat up to greet us as a perfect gentleman. The 4 of us talked briefly, and then the women seemed to quietly disappear from the room, giving Bud and me time together. We both knew this was the last time we would see each other on this earth. We chatted lightly for a moment, and then Bud grew serious. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Smitty, I want to thank you for introducing the TAP code. It made all the difference in our communications network and was a lifeline for all of us. It was a powerful moment I will always cherish, quickly topped by an even greater act that will stand out as one of the most significant events of my life." Bud grabbed my hand, turned it over, and on the back of it began to tap. Tap, 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 tap. The letter G. Tap, tap, tap. The letter B. Tap, 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 tap. The letter U. GBU. God bless you. Those words tapped countless times by POWs to offer strength and understanding to each other. It was a symbol of our shared experience and a mark of our brotherhood. Stunned, I could barely speak, but I managed to thank him for those blessed words and to tell him that I loved him. I know I will see him again when I will one day follow his lead through the gates of heaven and experience a reunion even grander than those I have written about. Yes, God has blessed me indeed,